I'll just kill this guy. Basically, I'm just trying to drag these guys to the door if possible. But I don't know what the trigger is for the other guys actually coming down from the top floor. So this is the only item that's really in here. The sedatives here. Yeah, here they come. So there's guys throwing like arcane balls at you. They are very annoying. So I would suggest like just waiting for this group of enemies to come out towards you. There's about 5 of them there. Actually, there's about 7. There's a lot of them. Like I said, there's a lot of enemies in this particular room. But once again, if you do kind of lure them out, that guy has a couple of attacks there. There we go. These enemies aren't very difficult on their own, but some of their attacks, and especially if they are grouped up, are very, very annoying. Like the running attack, especially. I find just if you don't interrupt it, you just take so much damage from it. So yeah. One good thing is they do drop a lot of echoes as you kill them. So yeah, I guess that's the reason for clearing out this entire room. These guys have pretty good tracking on their throws as well. Thankfully I didn't get hit there. Alright, cool. We cleared out that entire area. It was kind of a pain, but there you go. Now, coming up next is a sort of a tougher enemy. Sometimes he's passive when you reach the top of here. Like, right now he's just kind of like randomly hitting the wall for some reason. Gloves seem pretty effective on them. They're doing about 600 damage each. But as you can see, he does a lot of damage, especially if you roll into his attack there. I'm just taking so much damage from this guy. He does a lot of damage, but especially if I'm kind of a bit underleveled for this point because of the lower physical defense. Wow, I'm just absolutely... That was pretty risky, honestly. I played that pretty poorly, but that's okay. There's a bunch of vials there, at least. So this is the ladder. Unfortunately, we can't get to that yet. This is the ladder where the patients are, and the other way you can take up to this room. So, yeah. Okay, so almost died to that guy. They're kind of annoying because they don't stagger easily. But there's only a few of them in this area. So some antidotes there, and we're going to take this way first. Now, I do think that there is a ambush here, so I'm just going to run straight past here and attack this guy. Yeah. So this one will try and grab you and I think poison you. So make sure that doesn't happen. And up here you'll see that corpse that we couldn't get to before, and it will have a rapid poison gem, which I don't know if it is good or not, but it does have 10.5 on it, so it's probably decent. Okay, next we have the this hunter here. Not hunter, sorry, the Gatling gun guy in the wheelchair. So what you can do is you can shoot him as soon as he's reloading, and that will cause him to recoil and to stop what he's doing, basically. So yeah, that's probably the easiest way of dealing with him there. So there's another trap on the floor there. He's going to fall down to a different floor. He won't die from that. And now we have the headless variations of these enemies. They drop vials as well. These guys also don't stagger very easily, it seems like. But they're pretty much like any of the other enemies, though. And there's nothing really on this side of the floor apart from blue elixirs and a headpiece that's very strange through here. So there's these blob enemies on the ground. I think they inflict frenzy if you leave them just like sitting there, so I'm just gonna kill them. blue elixir, and the enlarged head. There's also one above the door that doesn't drop until you're going back out, I believe. So that's all that's in there. Now what we need to do is we need to hit the elevator, the other elevator, and we will drop out of it during the descent, so we can reach another area. So the area that we're trying to get to is where we'll get the first brain fluid for Adeline's quest. So right here you can drop out the elevator as it's going down to take you to a floor you can't get to normally. So around here is normally where the yeah, you can see there that he was invisible until I stepped on here. I've noticed that glitch quite a bit. I don't know why that is, but you know. So here we have a hunter, a pretty annoying one too. So I'm just gonna try and get a bit of good damage from gloves to begin with. They use poison knives, threaded cane, and the repeater pistol that really hurts. The repeater pistol is just ridiculous. It's just so much damage, really. So they do kind of dodge when they see you use gloves, but not enough, to be honest. Ow. I think I was only caught with one of those bullets as well. So as you can notice, he also has a sort of aggro range. So I think it's around here that he'll start moving back to where he was originally. So you can kind of take advantage of it. He was like trying to run back, as you could say. He drops sedatives, and here is the enemy that you kill for the first brain fluid. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the elevator, well, we're going to drop down on top of the elevator, and then this is going to take us back up. Which side is it? This side. So now we're going up to the top here. And we're going to have to fight another one of those kind of bigger guys that frenzies a bunch, like that. So I'm going to be just kind of spamming him, honestly, considering how the last fight went. You can parry him quite easily, but the issue is he's really fast, and he does like to do his combos, so that should be enough. I'm taking no chances with this guy. Thankfully, he does give you quite a few vials when you kill him. So now we're up to the point where we're going to hit a turnstile to change the stair layout. You'll see what I mean in a second. So first of all, there's a crow that drops down when you try to take this item that just like can knock you off the edge really easily. So just be aware of that. And make sure to get this item over here. Well, honestly, we're going to be dropping back down here anyway, but there is a chunk there, so. Right, so that should be everything that we need here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in this part here and move this. And what this will do is this will raise the platform that we're on and change the layout of the stairs everywhere below us. So what I want to do is go over this way first. So over this way. Don't fall off the edge. Here's the enemy that has the second brain fluid. So we definitely want to get this. As you can see, there's enemies below that are kind of aggressive on us. Now there is ladders down there. What you're meant to do is basically go down there now. There is an item that this crow drops though, and the annoying part is it will actually fall off the edge once you go towards it. So if you want to get this item, it is just a 10% guidance rune. You're gonna have to fall off this edge and then watch for those enemies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fall off here and then take a vial. And there was like 3 of those enemies running around to the lower floors. There's one of them. So we're gonna just try and take them as they come up. That's one. I don't know if the other ones will run up to meet us. Huh, looks like one died here. Unless that was some other thing that got knocked off the edge. So up here there is a chest. Like I said, if you want to get that guidance rune from the crow, you can just drop off the edge there. Just be careful because there might be enemies below you. That'll get a fine strike gem, which I believe is one that gives you attack versus open foes. So that's attack versus foes that have are in a counter state, so just after they've attacked, like etc. So it is pretty useful, but it doesn't apply to visceral attack damage like you might think. So it's useful to have, but I don't know about making it the main gem really. So what we want to do is head back to the elevator. Once again we're going to drop down and take this path out. As you can see now, the stairs up to the boss room are now accessible, but there is a few other items that we can take now. So as you can see, the other floor here is somewhere that we haven't been able to get to yet. And there's a few more enemies to deal with. This is going to take us to the key that will allow us to get into the cells at the start of this area. Well, the start of basically the area after Ludwig. So here's some bullets. There's another enemy here that will try and grab you. So not dealing with that. So there's the underground cell key. Get that gem as well. And the last thing to get here is the lock shield, which is a shield that blocks magic mostly. So you get that by just going down this way now. Actually, it's not the last item, because one of the other things is a few items will spawn in the lake at the start now after you drop down. This guy seemed to have dropped all the way down to the bottom. Yeah, there's a couple items here. There's also a bunch more enemies, but they're pretty useless. So lethal gem there, kin cold blood. And we're going to give a brain fluid to Adeline now. So one of the things you need to do is you need to save and reload and wait for dialogue quite often. So I'm going to skip past that entire thing. I'm just going to like do the entirety of her quest off screen now. Now that lethal gem that I picked up. Boost rally potential, that could be good potentially. So because Adeline's quest is kind of annoying, I'm going to have to reload several times, give her the brain fluid, and you know, go on like that. So I'll see you back when I've finished that. Okay, so Simon's here now, interestingly enough. I think he appears after you reloaded the area a couple times. So I've already got the balcony key from Adeline and reset the area a couple times more, and she's no longer in her chair, she's over here. And she will ask you for another brain fluid. So it might not be immediately obvious that you need to attack her, but if you've seen the other sort of blob enemies, then you know that they do recompose after you do that. So give her the last brain fluid and she will give you the milkweed rune. And I did not mean to sit down, of course. I should just... I don't know if there is a way to disable motion control or not on the controller. So she'll give you the milkweed rune, which isn't immediately useful right now, but we'll get there. And we're finally going to go out to the balcony here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a blue elixir so the enemies on the ground here won't spot me as easily. I don't. I think the only items in here is this item here and the one below on the chair there. So we're going to take a blue elixir. It basically makes us less visible, and we're pretty much just going to go ham on all the enemies here. So these enemies have like a homing soul arrow attack that's really, really nasty. And if you drop down here without taking a blue elixir, generally they will all attack you at once. So it does last a decent amount of time, and I would recommend it just to make sure that you aren't getting attacked by all of them, because they can dominate you at range quite easily. But I think that's all the enemies here now, so there's not too many of them. It's just we never really saw their attacks at all because I killed them quickly. But yeah. So Black Sky Eye is the hunter tool that the hunter before was using. So it is pretty good. It only uses one quicksilver bullet. I'm trying to find it here. It's kind of like the gloves, except it only takes one quicksilver bullet, and it will do more damage per shot compared to, you know, the gloves. But the issue is, the gloves track while Black Sky Eye is a faster line projectile, and also the gloves will do more DPS just because of the nature of the fact that you're firing 3 at a time. But Black Sky Eye is very useful for even pulling enemies or just nuking them down if they don't move. It's not as useful against hunters because they tend to dodge. So I picked up the triangle blood gem there. I don't think it's a particularly useful one. HP recovery. It's okay, I guess. So now we're going to go down to the cells here that I can open some of them. I'm going to take these enemies out first. Okay, so we're going to be fighting a guy with the church pick, and he is actually pretty nasty because he does have a repeating pistol. So I think he's found right here. So you can actually attack him on the other side of the door, which is pretty nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag him out here. He is pretty susceptible to gloves. The reason, because he dodges often, but unlike with if I was trying to use Black Sky Eye, he tends to dodge and then get hit by, you know, because it does track a little bit. I don't really want to fight him in melee because he is pretty scary. He does like to spam the repeating pistol as well. So I think you can drag him all the way up to this this more open area, which would probably be better. That's the one thing about gloves, is they kind of spread out, so they can hit walls and then just end up being pretty useless. Okay. I'm pretty okay with just spamming gloves at him here. There's a certain like sweet spot range where you can kind of always get him to get hit by all 3. Okay, so church pick, you don't even need to pick it up. It's a pretty good weapon. As you can see, you can kind of extend it into a scythe as well, so it's a very, very nice weapon. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll use it, although I was originally tending to. So there's only really 3 cells that you can open, one with a cold blood here, and one at the end with the NPC that will help you with the next boss. But the boss isn't too difficult. The one thing that you can do is kill him for his armor set. I think you need to kill him before he helps you with the boss, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And that's pretty much all that's here. You can't open the cell down here until we get another key that we get later on. So you can talk to the guy here, but the door is locked and you can't do anything about it. So not really much we can do. So now we're going to take on the next boss. And there is actually 2 bosses in a row before we get to the next area. The first of those 2 bosses is definitely the easiest boss in this DLC, but it can still do quite a bit of damage to you. You'll see what I mean in a second. It is definitely the easiest boss, and it is kind of a more of a group boss, which generally don't. They're generally a lot less difficult than other bosses. So yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. So all you need to do to get the boss room is take the first elevator up and then take these stairs. If you want to summon Yamamura, who was that NPC that I killed, you can still summon him. So you can just summon him right here. He's actually pretty good for this boss fight, but I'm not going to use him. Now, honestly, you're probably better off just comboing these guys. So here's their kind of SWAT attack that they do. Yeah, it can knock you back quite often, so that can be pretty nasty to deal with. They have that attack there. Kind of dodged into that a little bit, but it ended up being alright. So there's some that only cast and some that are kind of more melee. The casters are obviously kind of more of a concern. So as you can see, that one kind of has a homing soul mass kind of deal. Okay, it went down. You'll notice that some of them will actually spawn repeatedly. So what you can do is kind of focus on the exact same one repeatedly and just keep focusing on that one. Like the mage over here, I'm getting hit by that. So we need to take out some of these mages, because if you just leave them alone. Oh yeah, when they do this attack, basically these icicles will fall. If you use this tree for cover, generally it's pretty easy to deal with it though. So, oh god, I just got hit by that. Yeah, make sure you're keeping your eye on the casters, really. I think that's like the main thing. Yeah, there's an arc caster. So yeah, just don't get hit by the attack where you fly back, where they knock you back, because it's pretty damaging, and you know, it kind of slows your damage as well. So once again, they're doing this attack here. I'm more concerned about killing the mage again. Ow, that was a lot of damage there. He's gonna do that again. So after you've pretty much killed, or pretty much dealt enough damage to the health bar, the combined health bar there, that's the boss. So it's not really that difficult. If you do get hit away in the sort of knockback attack they do, that's kind of the biggest threat that they do, or the biggest threat that they have. I'm up to 53 Arcane and level 70. You get a lot of blood echoes from this DLC in general. So through this door is the next boss immediately after. So make sure that you are prepared for them before you just continue on. You might be expecting the area to start immediately after that, but no, it's one boss back to back. So I'm gonna head back to the Hunter's Dream. So I'm trying to get Arcane up at this point. I'm taking it past 50. As you can see, it's not really having much of an effect on the weapon damage that I'm doing. Even when I take it to 55, it's like 1 damage I'm doing more with my weapons. So it's not really about that, it's more about the damage that you're doing with your hunter tools more than anything else. So unfortunately I don't really have many things that are doing bolt damage yet, but that is going to change after the next boss into the last area of the DLC. They're quite big areas, but there's only 3 of them really in the DLC. So I'll see you guys then. So the Maria boss fight. And if you're wondering why I have a broccoli head, I equipped the milkweed rune specifically for something in the next area after this boss fight. So this Maria boss fight, the first phase isn't so bad with it. Usually you can just dodge to over towards her and to the right, and you'll usually pretty much dodge all her attacks, and if you're staying close, it generally isn't really that much of a concern. I do kind of mess up at the start here because I try to use some transform attacks. I shouldn't have even bothered, to be honest. Just doing some attacks like this is fine. The issues is when she powers up and she starts to get long range attacks, especially the third phase when she gets down to really low health. It can kill you very quickly. So it's just something to be aware of. I do almost die, I think like several times in this fight. She has a lot of combos that can deal so much damage to you, and she likes to catch you when you're trying to heal. But what we're going to do is we're going to use Augur on her when the fight gets difficult. Yeah, that was a knockdown that she has there. You can also use Beast Roar and just combo her repeatedly, but I feel as though Augur's better because you have a chance to parry her, and the Augur does damage itself, and it takes less bullets, so I would just use Augur for this. So as you can see, it's not too complicated at this first stage. Here's when she starts powering up. You can get a few attacks in, but she is going to AoE attack there. And here's when I start kind of spamming Augur. So I get her in a parry. Unfortunately, I'm not able to take the first parry, so I just attack once and then Augur again. And you'll notice that, yeah, the range on her attacks is now much larger. But if you back off enough, you can still heal. She also gets knocked down by Augur if you don't parry her, like here. So you can actually just spam Augur at her repeatedly, like I'm doing here. And here's when she gets to her third phase. And I do get hit immediately at the start of this. I do try and knock her down. I think she does... she doesn't stagger as easily from Augur. And I parry her follow-up attack here. I would try to stick close to her because her long range attacks are really nasty. But as you can see, Augur does do very well in this fight. Here, as you can see, I hit her, but it didn't knock her down that time. But it isn't too bad because I managed to get a follow-up parry. And that was pretty much the fight. It can be difficult, but Augur really helps in this fight if you are an Arcane build, so I would definitely recommend using that if you do have it. Now, like I said, you can use Beast Roar. It will cost 2 bullets, and then basically what you can do is you can combo or one spammer because she gets staggered kind of easily, and then hit Beast Roar and she'll get knocked back, and you'll regain all your stamina and be able to combo her again. So that's another way of doing the fight. It's not the hardest fight in the DLC in general, but the third phase can really kill you very quickly, so it can be kind of annoying if you keep getting to the third phase and dying. So I'm not really sure if the best placement would be to stick close to her, but that's what I found effective. So we open the way to the fishing hamlet here, and I'm going to go back to the hunter stream before I proceed.